That is so inspirational. I haven't spoken to anybody on this podcast that has gone through what you went through. I can't imagine how difficult that was. It makes me think one of the people who were most inspirational to me is Tony Robbins. And I've gone, I've been part of the Tony community for, I don't know, 30 years. And you'll hear Tony often say that business is a spiritual game. I can't stop hearing Tony say that as I'm hearing you share your story, having to help heal your company and have this transition because you had to maintain the leadership while you were going through this mourning period of a friend, and also, comforting, his family as well. So, I give you just incredible kudos, and I have so much admiration for how you've been able to navigate that.
I appreciate that. There's those that will say there's the business life and the personal life. And I just think that that's not true. I think there's just life, and business is such a part of our life, and it's such a part of our personal lives. And I think the more we embrace who we are as people, we bring that into business, we bring that into our relationships that we have with our team members, with our franchise partners, and we get to know, and we understand what challenges they're going through personally. It allows us to be better at business. It allows us to have stronger relationships. Our first core value is relationships first. And how can I truly have a strong relationship with a franchise partner, with a team member, with a client, or whoever it is, if they don't know me, and if I don't know them, and if they don't understand that I'm flawed in many ways and I'm striving to get better and do better every day, and we recognize that we're all imperfect beings here on this planet, and we're just trying to be the best version of ourselves every day for the people that we love and the people we care for, it really elevates, and I believe makes business so much more satisfying and so much more fun. Because you and I both know we can make good money in business, and that's all fun and games, and that's great, and that supports lifestyle, and that supports opportunities and great things that we want to do in life. But at the end of it, man, those relationships are so critical. And I remember conversations with Aaron about, what could we do with, as the business, breaks even and we start having a profit, we start taking distributions and just all these things that we dream about. And maybe there's an equity event and all this sort of stuff. Well, he never really got to see that the way that we're seeing it today. But what he did have was he was rich in a lot of ways with the relationships around him. He made sure that his family knew that they were the most important people and things in his life, and his calendar showed it. And that's one thing that we can look at and say, how am I going to assess my life? And how am I assessing my life week in, day out? Does my calendar really show proof that my family comes first? Yes, we have work we got to do. But I think the most important work that we could ever do is within the walls of our own homes. And that's one thing I try to instill with our franchise partners, for their teams, for all of our team members, is that, man, we have so much more to give each other and the people that are most important in our lives. That's what's going to help us succeed, is that focus on relationships and people.
You've had some great success since franchising. So you franchised it back in 2014. You've got 63 franchises in 22 states. Just knowing you for this 20 minutes or so, I can tell that you're the kind of leader and CEO that puts so much emphasis on the kind of person that you must bring into your system. Who is your ideal franchise owner, and what traits do they need to have in order to be successful and to fit within that culture of your company?
Yeah. And you brought up, growth and where we're at today. And I think that, yes, we do have some big lofty goals for the future, and we plan to grow and with great people. And part of that equation of great people is great brand ambassadors and great franchise partners and franchise owners that see that we are truly aligned. I think the success in franchising, and you've forgotten more about franchising than I could probably ever learn, Frank, and I definitely look up to you as someone in this space that's truly succeeded and seen all sorts of different ways of growing. But I truly believe in my heart that as a franchisor, our responsibility is to ensure and do everything we can every waking moment that our franchise partners are winning, they're succeeding. We're aligned in the way we have royalties. We're aligned in the way they're making money, that it supports them first and then trickles to us. And I think as we're looking for the right people to come in, that alignment is critical.
Mm-hmm.
So I already talked about vision, value alignment, but we also look for people that have an interest in real estate. Of course, it's important that they have some passion for the product that they're selling, the service that they're offering to people, that they enjoy rentals. Oftentimes they'll have some of their own. Many times the candidates come say, hey, I've been a landlord for years and I really enjoy it and I'd like to make a business out of it. That's really great. Not all of them do. In fact, some of them are aspirational. They want to buy rentals, and we love that because that's a big part of our business model, is them being able to be at the center of this opportunity around them. When people are looking to sell, they can raise their hand and say, hey, I'd love to make you an offer, from one of their clients, and they can start building their portfolio. And we have franchise owners that now have 5, 10, 20, 50 of their own personal rentals. And that's building generational wealth beyond the generational wealth they have through the business, which is really powerful. So that interest in real estate investing, they don't need to know everything about it. They just need to say, you know what, I can align with this. I like rentals and the business of owning that, and serving people that want to own it and helping them grow as well, but not having them have the burden of the day-to-day. I can get behind that. But then we also look at one of my greatest mentors is Patrick Lencioni. He's written many books that you're probably familiar with. And one of those is The Ideal Team Player, where he talks about people being humble, teachable, right? And so they're humble, they're teachable, they're willing to follow, they're willing to admit faults, different things. They're hungry, they're goal-driven, they're aspirational, they really want to achieve things for the betterment of the team and the company. And 3, they're smart, they're people smart. They understand how to work with people, how to ask good questions, how to bring out the best in people. They can be good leaders, good managers. They can be trained to lead and to help people align to common goals and common direction. So those are 3 of our 4 key areas that we look for in people. Number 4 is actually that alignment factor I already talked about, of vision and values. And if we see those 4 things in a candidate, then we can then start to look at their skills, their background. Of course, they've got to qualify financially and those sort of foundational things. But if we bring someone in that has the money, they can buy the business, but they're going to be very difficult to train up on the systems, or they're just not willing to work hard in the business, it's not going to be a good fit. Mm-hmm. It just really won't.
All of those traits of that franchisee, they make sense to me. Now I want to walk through sort of that next phase. I'm a franchise owner. Walk me through the model. I assume it's territory based?
Yeah, so everyone has a territory with a minimum of 10,000 single family rentals in their territory.
Okay.
And there's a population density requirement as well, or minimum. And there's going to be several zip codes that are assigned to that territory. Now, that's more of a marketing territory for, say, Google ad placement and networking, that sort of thing. But the service territory is actually about 45 miles around where their office is located, mm-hmm. because we want the servicing of properties to be relationship based. And oftentimes, if an owner owns, say, 3 properties and one is within the zip codes, one's just outside, we don't want to limit that owner's ability to manage those properties for a client. And so we focus there within reason, right? It's not going to be crossing state lines or any of that kind of stuff. And sure. So we don't have hard service territories like some brands and some industries might, but we focus more on that from a marketing standpoint.
Okay. Walk me through as a new franchise owner, tell me all the roles that I'm hiring for. I want to kind of get a sense of what kind of staffing do I need to run a key renter property management franchise.
It's what's cool about it is in the very beginning, it can just be a single owner operator, and they're going to be wearing all the different hats of leasing and maintenance coordination and business development and operations. The quicker they're able to hire someone, and oftentimes they'll wait till they have some of the cash flow to start hiring. It's usually around that 25 to 40 unit or property under management benchmark milestone that they're looking for, to start bringing in an assistant that might handle more of the back end administrative work. As they start shedding those hats to people at different levels of scale, they'll have a leasing agent, they'll have a maintenance coordinator, they'll have even oftentimes a business development manager that's bringing in new business. they'll have someone that's overseeing the field work, say checking on properties, property evaluations, condition reports, those kind of things. And they can get to a point relatively quickly within a couple of years to where they're just focused primarily now on building team and creating leaders and managing maybe some escalated situations that come up. And then eventually, for example, in my case, I still own an office, a location. When I stepped back into the franchise to run it, I brought in one of my team members that had been working for me for a few years, made him a junior partner in the business, and he runs the business. And now I spend maybe an hour or so a month in that business, mainly just with him on some leadership and him giving some updates and that sort of thing. And so this business allows you to be very in the trenches, right, in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And we really only look for owner operators. That we don't look for outside absentee investors, because there's just such a element of needing to understand the nuts and bolts of the business. And so those owner operators can step in. They can hire someone to run a lot of the day-to-day in the beginning. If they have the funding for it, they'll grow faster by doing that. But oftentimes they'll grow to a point where they can hire that out of the cash flow of the business.
Okay. And the properties that they're managing, is it strictly long-term rental, or do you guys do short-term as well?
Yeah, we focus on long-term residential, and there are some property management companies, even a franchise system, that they'll do short-term and vacation short-term, HOA, commercial. We focus on residential, and there's been a lot of validation, even recent articles in the Wall Street Journal talking about how single-family rentals is kind of the sweetheart of the real estate asset classes right now. It's really performing really well compared to a lot of the other, and we focus on that for several reasons I could get into. But that's definitely what we have done, what we have mastered, what we see as being the best revenue producing per labor hour input business in our field. That's our focus.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.